Bring us ahead of Jordan.
Yeah. Jordan's just that sharp, though.
Sharp as a sphere. What is happening, everybody? Welcome to MLB Live Before Lock. We've got Eric coming to us live from the Ryder Cup over on the other side of the pond. Of course, we've got the Slurp King himself producing. He probably thought I forgot about that moniker, but no. I was letting it fall by the wayside for a few days just to bring it back when he thought it was gone. So we got the Slurp King, Jordan Klein, producing. We got a baseball slate to break down for you guys. 10 games today. Eric and I are going to be going through all of our favorite options at pitching. We're going to talk about our favorite stacks. We'll answer any questions you guys have. So if you're in our Discord channel, you're a Stochastic sub, me during the show, I'll see all of your questions. We'll be answering them. If you guys have super chats for us, or just have thoughts, comments in YouTube, we always see those as well. Do us a favor as you're watching. The only one thing I'm ever going to require of you guys, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. It's free content, and it's really easy. It's only going to take a half second of your time, and we appreciate that a whole bunch. Eric, how are things going over in Europe?
Well, apparently, I play one round of golf and Jordan Klein loses his mind on me. Can't let it go that, I can wear a vest and a long sleeve in succession with each other. Just because, in California, Arizona, the places I frequent in my life, it's 100 every freaking day. I come to Scotland, it's 65. It's beautiful. It's perfect, but you can wear whatever you want. And it's not my problem. Sorry that I look great, Jordan Klein.
So I think Jordan's real problem is he's just thrown off by the sleeves. Like, I think just in general, he's confused by it because I mean this because we know the Slurp King himself. He never wears sleeves.
Slurp King.
I think even the concept of he generally understands sleeves exist. I don't think he's ever seen long sleeves before. I think he sees that and he's like, whoa, what is this invention?
Yeah, it's my intimidation factor on him. So the next time we play golf, I'll only beat him by 15 as opposed to 14 like last time.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
65, 79. Good talk, Jordan. What?
Pretty funny comment by Eric Johnson. Eric said, I thought Greg was going to require me to put pants on. No. Those are absolutely optional. If anything, I prefer that everybody watches the show with pants off. It makes for a more enjoyable experience. But we're going to be talking about today's slate. I already see some people in chat. JB Hughes saying White Sox, baby. Yeah, White Sox came through last night. And I felt I won a few GPPs yesterday. Like
yes,
second inning of the White Sox game, I was like, oh, I'm going to end up winning everything because the White Sox had scored 6 runs. Reed Detmers gotten blown up. He was 1,000,000,000% owned. And what was funny, do you know the White Sox passed the second? I'm pretty sure it's past the second inning, only had 1 hit the rest of the game.
I didn't. I saw that it got pretty ridiculous. It was something like that. It was Benintendi hit a homer in the 7th. Yeah, that was the only other hit.
But the damage was done at that point. It didn't matter. Got a couple homers from Benintendi. Andrew Vaughn homered, who was the dong of the day last night. So, yeah, good slate for me. Won some GPPs with the White Sox. And now we figure out what it is that we're going to go with for today. Before we get into it, Eric, sometimes I like to ask you any concerns about the weather or any other kind of overarching thoughts on the slate. We got another Coors Field game.
Nope. Coors looks good. How about Coors Field this time around? I think it looks kind of interesting. I mean, this has been like the best we've ran in weather in a long time.
I can't remember the last time there was a slate that had not like a rain delay, but even like a concern of a potential game to be postponed. It's been like weeks at this point.
Yep, I'm never leaving Scotland again. So that's cool. I'm just going to move here. So Jordan Klein, start dealing with the outfits. Start dealing. This is the new Eric.
Deal with it, Jordan. Deal with it.
You fucking
there we go.
Jerk. Yep.
There we go. That'll be cut up and used again on this channel. That's a guarantee. You know what's going to be funny is when Eric forgets he does that in like 6 months from now, it comes up on an NBA show and be like, Jordan, where did you get that from?
Yeah, but Jordan Klein's also the devil, so I don't really care. It means nothing.
I know Jordan well enough to know, I will say this with 110% confidence. He is clipping that and saving it as we are speaking right now. There's no doubt in my mind. Slurp King, confirm or deny, is that what you're doing right now? Yeah, that is absolutely what he's doing. We're sponsored by Bet365 today. We're going to do our best to give you guys DFS advice. Hopefully it played the White Sox last night, but hopefully we win some GPPs today. It's no guarantee. We're going to do our best to win a GPP, but here's what is a guarantee. If you sign up at 365 using the link we have down below, deposit $10, just $10. Place a $5 bet on whatever it is you want, and they're going to give you $200 in bet credits over there. So it is the easiest way to build your betting bankroll. If you're not already signed up at Bet365, if you're anybody who has a gambling problem, call or text the number 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's go ahead and start talking about the slate, Eric. And we've got pay-up options today. And we're back to this sort of deal. It had been a couple of slates since this happened, but who are the two most popular pitchers on the slate? The two most expensive pitchers. But not like crazy ownership or anything. Zach Wheeler's 21% owned. Cole Reagan's, he is 30% owned. Only two pitchers on the slate that are pulling north of 20% ownership, but they are our two most popular pitchers. All the other pay-up options, single-digit owned. Michael King, Nathan Eovaldi, Hunter Brown, all of them are pulling 5 to 8% ownership. So pretty comparable between them. If you are paying up for Wheeler or Reagan's tonight, which direction do you prefer to go?
Reagan's for the 700 discount. We're going to need it to some extent. You look at how many teams we have on the slate. We look at Arizona again, even though they didn't do anything outside of Ketel Marte hitting a home run for me in the premium Discord. That felt good. Arizona is going to be very, very, very popular yet again. So we should just kind of expect that to be the case going forward for the rest of this series. You also have Colorado on the other side, not exactly cheap that we would want to be getting to Coors Field on the other side. You have, some high octane offenses. Again, I'm going to be looking at Philadelphia against Montas as being a contrarian stack. Again, I'm going to be looking at some of the expensive bats from teams all across the land. We do lose a number of these games early for like 20, 25 minutes. I wish DraftKings would quit doing this, but because of Arizona and Colorado specifically in large field, like $700 actually comes in a lot of handy today.
So for me, I see your side of it for sure, where the $700 salary savings is definitely going to help. But I look at it as I like the ownership savings on Zach Wheeler, where Wheeler 21% owned compared to Cole Reagan's, who is 30% owned. And I know it is a much more difficult matchup for Zach Wheeler on the road against the Milwaukee Brewers. With that said, though, I do think down the stretch of the season, we've already seen, like Wilson Contreras, he's going to be out for the rest of the regular season. What are the Brewers? Are they like a game away from clinching the division? It's not far off.
I'll pull it up now. They don't care about baseball in Scotland.
They're 10 games up on the Cubs with 12 games left to play. Something to keep in mind for your betting video that everybody should be watching. Eric's Leans, Likes, and Locks. We are going to have sometime this week, the Brewers clinch the division, bet against them the next day.
Yep.
It's the line.
Yeah, you want to be paying attention to that. I've done that with the Dodgers recently, and last year I got absolutely burned by like the most ridiculous Dodgers lineup ever that ended up just smashing the day after they clinched, and I couldn't believe it. But what you just said is extremely accurate, and books never react to it until it's like too late. Maybe they've gotten sharper with some of this stuff, but perhaps not. They're not looking at normally the same things we are in terms of being able to pull up the schedule, pull up scores, pull up standings, and you react to that. It's normally an algorithm that's going to fire off something based on offshore books. And here we are, friends. We are going to be probably betting anybody that gets clinched. We're going to be betting against them pretty much routinely throughout the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, just like a general betting thing to keep in mind. One of the ways to find a little bit of value at this point in the season where you're going to have some watered down versions of lineups. But anyway, pitching, pay-up options, I think you could make different cases for both of the pitchers. Wheeler, you're getting lower ownership. Reagan's, you're getting a lower price point. Eric prefers Reagan's. I prefer Zach Wheeler a little bit. But neither of them are like massive priorities for me. I actually don't have more than 30% of a single pitcher on the slate today. So
who is your highest owned pitcher?
There are some cheap contrarian pitchers that I'm overweight to that I don't feel great about. But I mean, it's not like I felt great about going heavy on the White Sox yesterday. Sometimes you're just kind of playing the percentage games with some of these sorts of situations. Do you like any of the other pay-up options if you're looking to pivot off of our chalk options in Wheeler or Reagan's?
Yeah, Michael King a little bit because of the pure talent. However, his pitch count has started to waver, and that becomes a little bit of an issue for me. Hunter Brown on the other side, I like the stuff, but up against San Diego, it is so hard to pull the trigger. They just don't strike out. Nathan Eovaldi, no chance against Toronto. Although, he would have the best matchup of the three. It's just not all that appealing. If you fall into a couple lineups of them in 150, so be it. But, I'm playing 15 lineups tonight. I will not crack one of them. None of those three will.
Yeah, I don't really like any of these pay up options either between King, Eovaldi, Hunter Brown. I am skewing a little bit cheaper towards my pitchers. Zach Wheeler, he's the one pay up option that I do get to, but even then, it's not like a crazy amount. I'm just slightly overweight to the field on him. We did get a super chat here from Chris Williams. He says, great show like always, guys. He says, Atone folks, hit the like button. Chris, appreciate it. Support it. He says, since YouTube is still on the fritz and can't gift memberships, I did see that. I don't know what the issue is with YouTube, but not in our control. He says, can we rank our top 3 pitchers for the DK night slate? Yes, sir. I can absolutely do that. And there's 3 very clear best pitchers on the slate because you've got on the night slate Luis Gil, Michael King, Hunter Brown, and then you've got the cheap options, Griffin Canning, Brian Wu, Davis Morton. So we're just talking about like the 3 best pitchers for the night slate. To me, it's Luis Gil 1. I'll go Michael King 2, Hunter Brown 3.
Correct. Same exact order.
And then
where was Wu? Where was Wu at?
Brian Wu is, well, he just said top 3 because Brian Wu's pitching against the Yankees. It's hard for me to prioritize him over Brown, King, or Gil. He'd be 4th for me though.
Okay. Brian Wu would be 2nd for me. And then it would be Hunter Brown 4th out of that grouping. So Gil, Wu, King, Brown.
Okay. All right. A little bit different for you. No problem with that though. We do have from Discord. Hey, I'm Drew wants to know, hey guys, just want to hop in and ask for the DK cash plays, pitchers and hitters. And Quinwood 83 also asked for our top pitchers for single entry / cash here. Cash games, I would just pay up and go to Wheeler and Reagan's for cash games.
Yeah, you have a 3,300 Hunter Goodman you can play at catcher. You have a 3,600 Pavin Smith that you can play at first base. You have a 2,900 Luis Guillorme. You're probably not going to play him though at that spot. You're going to play 30. What? Yeah, I mean, either of those guys that I just talked about, catcher, first base, you're either playing them there or you're playing outfield. And there's just cheap bats to go around everywhere. Like there's cheap bats to go everywhere. So 10 games on this slate. I think you just play Wheeler, you play Cole Reagans, you move on with your day because there's enough value on this slate that I think you can make a cash game work still pretty easily.
Shout out to your mom. That's actually his name. I'm not making like a bit or a joke about this. There's literally somebody in the YouTube chat, your mom, who says, spent $3 and won $14K. Last night was fantastic. It's pretty fucking good return. Congrats to your mom.
Congrats to your mom. I'll tell her later.
But yeah, I am telling you guys, that is actually somebody's name in the YouTube chat.
It's fantastic.
And was that, your mom, was that MLB DFS? Was it Showdown? Did you win both last night? I'd be curious to know. Let me know in the YouTube chat. I want to know you won. That's sick. If you're using the Stochastic avatar, tweet at us to the Stochastic Hall of Fame because then you can get a free subscription to the site. No cost to you, just free stuff for tweeting it at us.
I have so much I want to say.
Avatar there.
I have so much I want to
say. Showdown. All right, nice. Yeah, a lot of big hits in Showdown yesterday. A lot of people played Dylan Covey's younger brother. I don't actually know that's who it is, but I've been saying that's who it is, and I'm going to stick to it. But yeah,
I saw DK DFS's tweet. Yeah, Britton Covey. He was the absolute nuts. Yesterday, though, I had 55% Jalen Hurts before that news. And then I ended up with in the captain spot, that was 55% Hurts in the captain. Then what happened is I ended up having this cheapie and I ended up paying up for Bijan Robinson more as a result of it because I thought he'd be lower on the captain and he was. Just so happens he needed Jalen Hurts and it was a 1v1 for me, 2v2 kind of situation on a bajillion lineups. Ended up like 4xing my money because he got like 8.6 or whatever at 1K. But yeah, it got me off of Jalen Hurts captain and that was painful.
Yeah, I'm curious. I would think they'll get you more of Hurts at captain because he was so cheap.
Nope, Hurts was cheaper than Robinson and Barkley, I think, on that slate. So Hurts was like further down the list than those two. And so I basically saw it as like, all right, before I was jamming Hurts and getting to just like $200. I played Calcaterra or whatever his face was, the tight end. And I was playing like a bunch of those random $200 guys. And then what happens is I get $1,000 guy that felt like a stone cold lock or whatever. And it was just like a smattering of those other guys. And I went from having all the Hurts to like, again, it was like half the Hurts, but I went through my old lineup set and it would have been the nuts. So that was painful.
Yeah, see, we've got Keith Vape in the chat says, I'm still kicking myself in the dick. Well, that's impressive. You've either got a big dick or you're flexible, one of the two. Because, I mean, to punt it,
the second one.
Something.
Second
it's
one.
Dikembe Mutombo stuff. We've got a super chat here from Brett Shoop. He says, Parker splits suck against righties. Are the New York Mets sneaky? Let me see. Do I have Mets stacks today?
No, I do not. And Mitchell Parker isn't all that good for what it's worth. Like, it's not like I'm going to go out of my way to say he's great. I do have a couple of the righties, but there's not a crazy amount, like a normal amount. There's no Lindor in the lineup for the Mets now. That seems to suck. Like, that's not ideal. That's not what we're going for.
It's, to me, a pretty nondescript stack. I've got a couple of them. They're 4% owned. We got a 4% chance for them to be the overall highest scoring team in the top stacks tool. Like, if you had a Mets stack, it's fine. But like, I'm not going out of my way to play the Mets. And if you're playing one lineup, I would not be playing the Mets in that lineup. So are they okay to get exposure to? Yeah, but not really a spot that I'm going to be prioritizing. Sean Jeezy says, hello, gents. Still crying about Saquon's drop, cost me $50K plus last night. But let's get into MLB tonight. He wants to know which sub 4% owned stack breaks the slate and wins the main. All right, so
I have it for you.
4% owned.
I have it.
Let me check my exposures.
I know for sure who it is for me.
I'm trying to figure out mine. So you give...
So easy. The Pittsburgh Pirates. They're going up against Lance Lynn. It just screams stack against me in just about every single way, shape, and form. I'm just not a Lance Lynn guy. I'll never be a Lance Lynn guy. I know that it's been better at times. He's had a couple of like really, really nice outings, but as long as like 4 or 5 outings ago, he gave up 10 earned, 11 runs, 9 hits to the Washington Nationals. This is the kind of upside you get at low ownership going up against Lance Lynn. Can Lance Lynn have a good outing? Sure. But more than likely, he's complete ass, which is, me stealing from Kyle Krings as he described Mitchell Parker there a second ago. I did not mean to delete it. I tried to show it because I thought it was really funny. But I am very much here for all things stacking against Lance Lynn with his 191 expected ISO to lefties and 190 expected ISO to righties.
Well, fuck me with a pitchfork, because I'm looking through my exposures and I was trying to figure out who it is. That's my answer. I don't have any team that I have a lot of that is in the ownership range that Sean asked us about. But the team I have the most of, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates. And if you are stacking the Pittsburgh Pirates, I don't have too much to add about what Eric had said there. You want to be playing the lefties against Lance Lynn. This has always been the case throughout Lance Lynn's career. Elite against right-hand hitters, terrible against lefties. So you see the massive splits this year. 342 WOBA against lefties, 284 against righties. And that is, right in line with what his career splits are as well for his career, which is now, a very, very low. He's pitched like 2,000 innings in his career. And for his entire career, 282 WOBA against righties, 334 WOBA against lefties. So yeah, I think those Pirates lefties certainly make sense against Lance Lynn today. I'm going to be in agreement with Eric here and on the same page. So Pittsburgh Pirates, there's the sub 4% owned contrarian stack. Let's get back to talking about some of these pitchers, Eric. And in the 8K range, we've got only 3 pitchers that are priced in the 8K range here. We've got Chris Bassett, Brian Wu, Luis Gil. We've also got Einsteinium in the Discord chat. He wants to know if we have any interest in Chris Bassett, $8,100. Pitching on the road against the Texas Rangers. He is 10% owned, 8% ownership to Brian Wu, 19% to Luis Gil. Anything stand out to you about the 8K pitchers, or in particular, Chris Bassett, who Einstein is asking us about?
Yeah, Chris Bassett does look pretty decent to me. Texas is without Corey Seager. He's been kind of the guy who was able to cover everything for Texas all the live long day, because they have not been good without him. However, they are rolling out like their A lineup 1 through 8. Justin Foscue, I don't really care, batting 9th instead of Nate Lau, but or Nate Lau's DHing or playing first. Whatever, it goes either way. Justin Foscue doesn't really matter to me as much, but 1 through 8, it's the best version of this team you can get. I will probably get to a little bit of Chris Bassett at the end of the day, but let me see. 2 of 15 for me. I'm there. I see what you're seeing. Without Corey Seager, this Texas team is watered down. It will be the rest of the year, but I'm not prioritizing him in any way. And the rest of the 8K range, after I got done besmirching Lance Lynn, he's in the 7K range. But Brian Wu, this is the guy that I kind of want to get to. You brought it up earlier with the night slate. Luis Heel, Brian Wu. I like both of them. I think Luis Heel's a nice guy to take a stand on. I am a Luis Heel guy. I know the XFIP had been rising. I know that he's somebody who has a crazy walk problem and will bite him from time to time, but he gets lots of strikeouts. I'm waiting to see exactly when the other shoe drops for Luis Heel, because maybe he doesn't continue this. Maybe he starts to give up a lot more hard contact, but this is the best park in baseball you could possibly go into over a 3-year rolling average on Baseball Savant. So it's a 3.5 implied run total on the other side. I like Heel, and I really like Brian Wu. I think the strikeouts are going to return in a major way, and he's had some of his best other peripheral stats leading into this game and leading into this entire season. I don't really have any limitations on him anymore. I'm not projecting any limitations in like some pronounced way. And I think that just makes me excited to get to like low-owned Brian Wu with a 2.39 ERA, 0.82 whip, got up to 89 pitches. He's got up to 94 pitches 4 starts ago. Mid-90s pitches, definitely in the realm if he's got it going.
Yeah, I'm not sure how likely it is because, yeah, he did do it, what was it, 4 starts ago. His last 3 starts, 89 pitches, 88, 69 pitches for him before that, 94. But he's only gone 90-plus pitches twice the entire season, and that's out of how many starts has he made now?
Many starts.
19. So yeah. I think they've been, and he's also dealt with a lot of injuries. He's been, in and out of the lineup the last couple of years, or I should say on and off the injured list. So I do think they like to keep it safe with Brian Wu. And then also the matchup against the Yankees. It would be a little different to me if Brian Wu was like 1 or 2 or 3% owned. But considering the 7% ownership on him, let me see. Do I have any? Yeah, I've got a couple lineups with Brian Wu, but not anything that I'm going to be prioritizing or anything like that. I feel the same way about Chris Bassett, $8,100. I've got him in a couple lineups, but Einstein, if you're playing a handful of lineups, I wouldn't have Chris Bassett in those. There's other pitchers I prefer. I'd either want to be paying up for like a Zach Wheeler or going down to the 7K range where the pitcher I have the most exposure to on the entire slate, Eric, it is Tyler McGill. Now, with that said, like I said before, I don't have any pitchers in more than 30% of my lineups. I'm pretty spread out at the pitcher spot. And it's different than like yesterday. I only had 3 offenses that I was rostering. And then I would actually, no, never mind. It's like pretty similar to yesterday. I had 3 offenses that I stacked around and then I was pretty spread out at pitcher. Today, I have 1 offense, the Arizona Diamondbacks, when we talk about them, that I have a ton of exposure to. And then I'm really, really spread out at pitcher, building around the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's why I don't have more than 30% of any one pitcher. But the one I have the most of, it is Tyler McGill at $7,700 at home, pitching against the Washington Nationals. And what I really like about Tyler McGill, other than the $7,700 price point, sub 20% ownership, is you also have a pitcher who has considerable strikeout upside, 27% K rate. And I like the ability to be able to play a lot of the Coors Field game while getting a pitcher who's modestly priced, isn't crazy popular, but still has as much upside as anybody on the slate.
Yeah, Tyler McGill is tough for me. I get it. It's Washington. You saw would go berserk over the weekend. From out here in Scotland, we even heard about it. All 4 people who care about baseball, but Tyler McGill, not my favorite back in this kind of a spot, but I get it. You look at the board. If you want to get to Arizona, you got to find something cheap. I feel like Griffin Canning is going to be that guy for me. I don't like it, but he's 6K, and I can at least stack up Arizona all different kinds of ways. I don't mind Jordan Hicks. I can get to a little bit of that against Oakland even for Chicago, but I don't like playing Tyler McGill when I know he's going to be like the 3rd, 4th most popular play on the slate. There's considerable downside. I will say, if you're going to be making a stand like that, I would expect you to have, I mean, you've done this long enough. I think you're going to definitely get to some Washington on the other side in some extent. But Tyler McGill was not trusted by the Mets to be out there as recent as like a month ago. I mean, he's brought up by necessity, 10.2% barrel percentage, 43.4% hard hit, has a little bit of a walk problem that can pop up from time to time. I don't think Washington has a ton to play for. That's useful. And a 4.18 expected ERA is better than his 4.48 ERA. Has a 27% K rate. So I get everything you're saying, but it's an uncomfortable, chalky-ish play.
Yeah, I mean, he's still sub 20% owned. And I mean, I know the matchup isn't as good against, say, like the White Sox yesterday, but look at Tyler McGill, the strikeout rate, the underlying numbers. He's kind of an identical pitcher to Reed Detmers, what Reed Detmers was yesterday. He's just not like 50% owned or anything like that. So I think the field is a little bit too light on Tyler McGill. I have him as my most rostered pitcher right now, upper 20% range right now. I like him as being a core GPP option for myself. I see we got a super chat from a Yobi Trice. Yobi Trice says Walker's and Schweber's BVP history today. And then there's the nodding no. I don't know what their BVP is. I don't know if the nod no means here's where the issue is with neither of us being cool, Eric, which is like way apparent based on what your attire is right now. I get asked these questions sometimes where I read them and I'm like, I just don't know what we're talking about.
I hate you. You're really just a terrible, terrible boss. Thank you. Appreciate you though. Yeah, I suck.
I don't know if it's a
Fuck
question.
me. Yeah, no, it's fine. I get it. It's not even a question.
All right, you could answer it. Walker's and Schweber's BVP history today, and then a nodding emoji or head shaking emoji.
I mean, I hope that means that Schwarber goes yard a lot because, I have Kyle Schwarber. I looked at Kyle Schwarber betting. I hate Frankie Montas. I'm on his under of 17.5 outs. I cannot believe. I even just looked at it now. He's gone 5 straight outings with less than 18 outs. That's absurd. This I've got closer to like 15 outs. And yeah, I played a pretty nice play. It's plus money on Frankie Montas under take that for sure.
So we did get a follow-up. He says the emoji came up different in the super chat versus what he had typed in. And then somebody else added that Kyle Schwarber is a 2 for 5 against the pitcher he's going up against today.
Jordan Klein kept that on me as long as possible. It connected to my phone. He kept it on my face as long as possible so that it would freeze with me with an O face. I really don't like you today, Jordan. You're not making me happy.
Oh, look at that. To be honest, I can't tell which one's Eric and which one is Ian Poulter here.
I'm reading Don't Kill Myself books, okay?
You a communist from Great Britain? What is? Did you ever have your tips frosted? I bet you did.
Yeah.
I will guarantee that when Eric was like 11 years old, he went through a boy band phase where he thought he was like, I could be in the Backstreet Boys.
I literally never did. That's the best part is that you have these ideas of me and they are incorrect and really just get off my lawn.
Did you or did you not have frosted tips at one point?
Never had frosted tips in my life, nor would I ever.
Don't believe you for a second, but we'll carry on.
Good talk.
We'll carry on. On the point of BVP, I would urge you to not care when a hitter is 2 for 5 against a pitcher.
Correct. I wouldn't care if they were 2 for 20. I wouldn't care if they were 5 for 100. I wouldn't care.
And somebody else in the chat, Joe Wicker says that there's like 30 guys with 5 plate appearances, a home run, and a 500 batting average to play all of them. Don't, but okay. It's just such a small sample size that, you know, what does 5 plate appearances mean? You could have somebody who's 2 for 4 against a pitcher and they have like 2 infield singles. You could have another guy who's 0 for 4, but is like 4 hard hit balls that are just hit at fielders. Wouldn't really put all that much stock into it.
Would put 0 stock into it.
Do you like any of the other pitchers in the 7K range, Eric? I've said that Tyler McGill is my guy. Who's your guy?
In the 7K range. He's not in the 7K range. He's in the 6K range.
Do you have anybody else you like in the 7K range then before we move on to the cheapies?
No, I've got a little bit of Tyler McGill. I have a little bit. I have two lineups of Tyler McGill. I have one of Lance Lynn. Just a lot to get to. Not a lot to get to.
We have the Pittsburgh Pirates lineup. We're talking about liking. Have you looked at the Pirates lineup? Is his tea ready?
No, just people being people.
Have you looked at the Pirates lineup?
Yeah, it's not very good.
It's not just that it's not very good. And we were just talking about the Pirates as a potential contrarian stack. They have 7 righties in the lineup.
Correct.
Does this make Lance Lynn interesting now as a contrarian pitcher? Like we were just talking about, he's been very good in his career against righties, terrible against lefties. But if he's only facing righties today, does this bring him into play at 7,500?
I don't know. I'm going to bet Rowdy Tellez hit a home run today, so that's cool. But he's not. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been good against righties. Look at his numbers to this year against righties. They haven't been good at all. Let me pull it up. Lance Lynn, 190 expected ISO against righties. There's at least power there. But yeah, 284 WOBA, very, very different. So there is that. It's probably an upgrade for Lance Lynn, just looking at this construction of the lineup. But yeah, you're getting some interesting guys. Brian Reynolds been like a hot topic of debate today in the premium Discord, but going back and forth with everybody, talked about like break-even odds and how I'm kind of looking at doing that relative to other books and from a projection standpoint. And Brian Reynolds, somebody that's barely positive EV for over 1.5 total bases, if you can get plus 125 on it. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, Andrew McCutchen's been kind of a killer of late. It seems like every slate that I don't play him, he smashes. So I'm fully expecting 0 for 4 today. But Rowdy Tellez is a good bet, 3K. I'm going to be playing a lot of him. I think I have 6 lineups of him in 15, which is pretty wild. But yeah, there's still some decent righties to get to here.
It makes Lance Lynn at least viable to me at 7K. I'll rerun everything as more of the lineups come out. But yeah, at $7,500, I think he's in play at 7K, which wouldn't have been the case for myself earlier at all. Let's talk about the cheap pitchers now. Although one more super chat here from Yobi Trice. He has said that Christian Walker has 2 homers and 8 plate appearances against Ryan Feltner. Here's where I am going to give you some opinion that might be like kind of mixed signaling. Play Christian Walker today, but not because he has 8 plate appearances against Ryan Feltner that went well. Play Christian Walker because they are in Coors Field and we have the top stack odds for the Arizona Diamondbacks at 22.5% when no other team on the slate has double-digit odds being the top scoring stack. Like, the Diamondbacks are my favorite stack by a mile. So I have, what do I have? I have 19% of Christian Walker. I like Pavin Smith a little bit more relative to the price point. He's only $3,600 with MPE. But Christian Walker is like great to play because he's in Coors Field. 8 plate appearances shouldn't mean anything to you. Honestly, 30 plate appearances against a pitcher shouldn't mean anything to you. None of it. It just and there's a lot of reasons why. Small sample sizes. There's more context needed for those plate appearances. In addition to that, hitters and pitchers change wildly year to year. So, for example, let's say that Ryan Feltner, who right now pitches for the Rockies, let's say he pitches in San Francisco next year. And all of a sudden you go, oh my God, look at Christian Walker's numbers against Ryan Feltner. We'll be like, yeah, but he did that at Coors Field. And now he's facing them in San Francisco. It's like a totally different setup. Pitchers change year to year. Pitch mixes changes. People get better. They get worse on a year-to-year basis. And then also like 8 plate appearances should never tell you anything. But all that said, just play Christian Walker because he's in Coors Field today. Any other thoughts on BVP here, Eric?
No, BVP is dumb.
Fair enough. We got a Brandon Boggs in chat, who is famously the relative of Wade Boggs. Is that true? Might as well be. I said it online, so it has to be the truth. He says, it's baseball, brother. Do whatever you want to do. You might run into one by accident. Yeah, or like build good lineups. Any of that is an option. Cheap pitchers, Eric. I want to know from you. Who is the cheap pitcher that you're liking for today?
I hate it, but it's Griffin Canning. It has more to do with the matchup going up against the White Sox. He's 15% owned, so it's not like he's pulling zero ownership whatsoever. I just think that there's massive upside for any pitcher with a pulse going up against the White Sox. Is there a massive downside like we saw yesterday? There absolutely is. But you go to WRC plus on this season, the White Sox sitting at 76 against right-handed pitching. You go to just any preset range you want to on FanGraphs. We could go to the last 30 days. There's 74 WRC plus is dead last in baseball. You go to the last 14 days against right-handed pitching. The White Sox aren't actually dead last, which is kind of hilarious. But anywho, the point remains, we are looking at one of the worst lineups we've seen in a long, long time in baseball. And the opportunity that you have for any righty who has any kind of stuff from time to time is just immense. Is Griffin Canning good? No, he's atrocious. 17.3% K rate. It's a ballpark upgrade for the White Sox, but it's also the White Sox. So I'm going to be rolling with some 6K Griffin Canning. May God have mercy on my soul.
We've got what is this? Andre Rules in the Discord chat. He did ask us here thoughts on Griffin Canning for a DraftKings single entry. You just said that you have some interest in Griffin Canning. Would you play him in single entry though?
I mean, he's not in my single entry lineup, but he is in 4 of my 15. And they're all Arizona stacks. I think that's really what you're trying to do, is you're trying to get to like the expensive guys. My one-off is Kyle Schwarber in that one, which is hilarious because we just got done besmirching BVP or whatever. But yeah, it's Griffin Canning I probably wouldn't do in single entry.
I've got 2 cheap pitchers that I'm putting into lineups that I'm overweight to. Griffin Canning is one of them. He allows you to pretty easily get up to the Coors Field game in the Arizona Diamondbacks. And the other one is Jordan Wicks. Both these guys are not great, but they're not like completely terrible pitchers. And they're just really cheap. And in the case of Griffin Canning, clearly a good matchup against the Chicago White Sox. And then Jordan Wicks, it's funny, for the longest time, we didn't want to be playing pitchers against the Oakland A's. And at times I still feel that way if a pitcher is really popular. But now the field's kind of gone the other way. Like we had Imanaga, who was not popular against the Oakland A's. Jordan Wicks also not popular against the Oakland A's. So it changes the equation for me when the pitchers themselves aren't that popular. And Jordan Wicks, for the price point, strikeout rate over 20%, whatever. He's a league average pitcher and he's very cheap. He enables me to get up to some of the offenses and the bats I want to. So Jordan Wicks, Griffin Canning, those are 2 contrarian pitchers that have been north of 20% of my lineups. Any other punt pitchers you're finding yourself on?
I talked about Wicks. Yeah, Wicks, I've gotten 2. That's it. I can't imagine that I'm going to do anything else with them. Yeah, Wicks and Canning, you're playing just by necessity. You're trying to get to those stacks. I thought about Davis Martin, and then I kept on living my life.
That's a reasonable way to think about any Davis Martin considerations. Let's see. Do I have any Davis Martin lineups? I've got a couple, but no, I much prefer getting to Griffin Canning or Jordan Wicks. I actually have like real exposure to those pitchers. Then Yobi Trice wants to know, was this the worst week of football DFS in a while? By default, because we've only had 2 slates this year. So I can't remember all the slates from last year, but it was at least the worst slate in like 8 months
2 weeks
since last season.
Since 2 weeks for me, for sure.
Yeah. It wasn't a, like, I didn't crush or anything this slate, but I didn't get like destroyed or anything.
I got murdered. And I had 100% Jordan Mason. I had Chris Godwin, my second highest owned player. I was sitting really, really good. And then I could not have gotten anything else more wrong. Like nothing else was good. I did have a little Kamara, but again, somehow those lineups still didn't smash. They barely cashed. And yeah, it was a train wreck of a week for me. So I'm with you. I 100% back you, Yobi Trice.
And then Keep Vape says, because the chalk didn't hit. The chalk all hit. It was like one of the chalkiest football slates ever. The only chalk that didn't hit was Cooper Kupp, and it was because he got hurt. Every other chalk piece destroyed. Like Jordan Mason was great. J.K. Dobbins, He was super popular. He was really good. Chris Godwin, he was like 25% on. He was really good. Rashee Rice was pretty popular. He was really good. All of the chalk just destroyed. Breece Hall, he was pretty chalky. He destroyed. The chalk just massacred. It was one of the chalkiest slates in It was one of the chalkiest slates in recent memory. Contrarian, everybody went off, and then contrarian guys went off too, like Alvin Kamara.
Yep. Your mom went off as no.
That is true. Your mom turned $3 into 14K. Shout out to your mom. Anything else you want to add about the pitching, Eric?
No, nothing. I think we covered it. 10 games. You want to get to all contrarian piece or two, sweet. But Zach Wheeler and Cole Reagans are your 1-2 in any capacity. I'm playing more Luis Heel because I want to play more Arizona. And then I'm dipping my toes in the Griffin Canning pool. I'll probably get to a little bit more Tyler McGill. I do think it makes some sense against this iteration of Washington going forward. Earlier in the year, they weren't striking out as much, but that was before they had guys, like Joey Gallo back in the lineup, although he is batting eighth day in, day out. Jose Tena. I mean, these guys are just getting going. But CJ Abrams, James Wood, I mean, these aren't like crazy strikeout bats, at least. So there's that. But Tyler McGill, it's uncomfortable, but it's a 3.4 implied run total in Vegas. I totally get what you're looking at for it. I'll probably give him a little boost here and see what happens.
Let's go ahead and look at FanDuel really quick before we turn over and talk about the offenses, which I'm playing a lot of Coors Field. I'm not going to have a ton to add about offenses because I am just jamming the Arizona Diamondbacks. But before we get there, FanDuel pitching, it is incredibly spread out. Cole Reagans is 12.6% owned. Frankie Montas is 10% owned. Kind of a little bit surprising going up against the Philadelphia Phillies. And that's it. Every other pitcher single digit owned. So incredibly flat pitching ownership over on FanDuel. Does anybody in particular stand out to you as a pitching option on the FanDuel side of things?
Zach Wheeler, 10-9, 6.8% ownership. This is the guy that could go out and break any slate. He's got the best peripherals on it of anybody on the slate. We're getting into September here, getting close to October. They're going to ramp these guys up. I am ready to party with some Zach Wheeler on FanDuel if I could play FanDuel in Scotland.
If I'm entering one FanDuel lineup right now, there's good reason the ownership is as spread out as it is on FanDuel. I would actually go Griffin Canning 5% owned, or sorry, 6% owned Griffin Canning. Not that 5 or 6 is a massive difference, but $7,700. He's only 6% owned. He gives you like unlimited ability to spend up for whatever you want at bats. I would say him if you're going cheap. If you're going to go expensive, go to Zach Wheeler, 10,900 at just 7% ownership. Either of those two guys, I think that would be the direction to go. I do like same sort of thing, FanDuel relative to DraftKings. Zach Wheeler about half as owned as Cole Reagans. So if I'm paying up for a pitcher, I prefer to get the ownership savings there on Zach Wheeler. Let's go ahead and talk about offenses now, Eric, where I said for myself, I just have so much exposure to the Arizona Diamondbacks that I don't find myself getting to a massive amount of any other team. I've got some secondary stacks I could talk about here, but I mean, like half my lineups is Diamondback stacks. What are you doing with a popular Arizona team?
Playing them. What else do you do? You play them. You play Arizona today. I mean, it's just another amazing spot. And the fact that they didn't go off yesterday maybe helps. I doubt there's much casual MLB DFS play here at this point in time, but Ryan Feldner, he's somebody that I've backed at times in his career. This will not be one of those times. 328 xWOBA, with 261 expected batting average. And you get these lefties, you get this best iteration of the lineup with Corbin Carroll, Jock Peterson third, Christian Walker, just insane numbers against righties still. Pavin Smith, who, can do insane things from time to time. And Henio Suarez. I don't see how this isn't the team to get to. You get some cheapies along with it at the back half of this lineup. Just play Arizona. It is the best hit environment by a mile on this slate. Is it crazy hot there? No, but it's 70 degrees, winds blowing out. You got to look at Arizona.
Yeah, I don't remember how many times I've had a stack this year that I have as much exposure as I do to Arizona at the moment. So I'm going to be loading up on the Arizona Diamondbacks, like them as a 5-man stack, like them as a 3-man stack. And that's why I'm so spread out at pitcher. I've got one team I'm really focused on offense. And then I just kind of filter around the pitcher, kind of the same way yesterday. I like the White Sox a lot at offense, not quite as much as I like the Diamondbacks today, but I played a bunch of White Sox, had them in combinations with other offenses, had a handful of pitchers I liked. And then I felt pretty confident that with the ownership on the White Sox and then all the ownership on Reed Detmers yesterday, where it was like, if the White Sox go off, I'm going to do very, very well on this slate. Nobody else is going to be in that position. White Sox go off. I get the leverage there, end up winning some GPPs, and I'm going to be really heavily condensed on the Arizona Diamondbacks as well today. For single entry, though, Eric, where I think the ownership is going to be even more magnified on Arizona, would you still be in on them in some of the small field stuff?
Yeah, today I would. Yesterday, probably not. Today, like, there's not great leverage off of popular pitchers outside of maybe a little Griffin Canning with the White Sox. I could see the potential that like somebody gets steamed up a little bit, like a Tyler McGill, and maybe get to Washington. The walk problem definitely helps for that. I would say Luis Heel, same thing. You could look at getting to some Seattle, but like these are pretty nominally owned pitchers. I think I'm far more inclined to be playing a chalky Arizona. Do I feel great about it? No, but I do think that there's some ways to play with pitching to get to Arizona. And, you know, you can't play Cole Reagans and Zach Wheeler together and really make Arizona work the way you want to. Luis Heel and Tyler McGill, you kind of can. I mean, I've been looking at some combos of like that, but overall, if you wanted to play Arizona as a 5-man today, I don't completely hate it the way that I normally would.
We got a question in Discord from Einstein. We wants to know any interest in the Cardinals for today. They're not a terrible source of salary savings. 7% ownership. They are the third most popular team on the slate right now. The only issue I have with the Cardinals is that there are other cheap stacks I prefer. I would rather get to the Angels or the White Sox for cheap, actually, than I would to the Cardinals. But priority for me, if I'm going cheap and saving salary, it is the Angels today against Davis Martin. And, you know, Eric earlier had said that like he thought about Davis Martin and decided no. And I also was looking at Davis Martin a little bit because the matchup against the Angels, and ultimately what that led me to was deciding I kind of like the Angels side a little bit here. Davis Martin's numbers, not totally terrible this year, but it's a very small sample size. His numbers have been bad in the past. He's also struggled when he's pitched in the minor leagues. So, for instance, you look at Davis Martin as a 25-year-old in AA in 2022. As a 25-year-old in AAA in 2022, he had a 6.11 ERA and a 4.9 FIP, which was apparently good enough to get called up to the big leagues by the White Sox, where he had a 4.83 ERA and a 4.71 expected ERA. Middling numbers so far this year, but I don't really believe in Davis Martin. He's also, 27 years old, non-prospect. All projection sites have him as like a guy who's expected to have an ERA in the high fours, doesn't generate very many strikeouts. The Angels are very cheap. So I like picking on Davis Martin here with the Los Angeles Angels. The projections are not good on Davis Martin at all. His minor league numbers were poor. So for value, I like the Angels best. Is there a cheap stack that you're liking to save salary with?
Yep, I don't mind the Angels. I like Pittsburgh still against Lance Lynn, regardless of how it rolled out. They're extremely cheap. You do get that 3K. Rowdy Tellez talked about him, Soldier Boy Tellez. We're going to fire him up to hit a home run here today as well. Looking across the board, White Sox against Canning. Don't hate that either. Just run that back from yesterday. Have a good day. Don't think there's a lot of like other super, super cheap stacks on this slate. I mean, the popular stacks we haven't talked about, the Kansas City Royals are semi-popular, fifth most popular stack. St. Louis, fourth most popular stack against Bailey Falter. They're a little bit on the cheaper end, but it's Arizona, Colorado, and it's the Angels in St. Louis, and Kansas City pulling fifth, but they're not exactly cheap. I mean, it's kind of White Sox and Angels by default. That game, yet again, a lot of cheap pieces you probably want to get to.
Yeah, I think those are the two best sources of salary savings. And then I'd put the Cardinals third per Einsteinium's question, but just, playing a couple lineups, I'd prioritize those other cheap teams ahead of them. Anything else at offense that's particularly important to you?
I mean, God forbid if Coors Field doesn't go off today. Because yesterday, yesterday I was like, meh, but I only played like a handful of lineups. And, I had one White Sox lineup that kind of salvaged the day for me. It didn't have Benintendi, so that hurt, but everybody else did okay within it and had a decent enough night, just broke even or little baby loss, so it didn't matter as much. Today, I'm basically all in on Arizona, a little bit of Colorado. And then, yeah, as you said before, like, I can't remember having this much showing up in my top 150. I mean, I have like 38% in my top 150. I'm only playing a handful of lineups of 15, but they're going to be in nearly half of them, 7 of 15. So I'm really, really looking for it.
See if there's any final questions. Just Mr. Coolcam says favorite stack to pair with Arizona on FanDuel. I just kind of quickly saw that at the corner of my eye and thought he was asking for favorite pitcher. He was asking for favorite stack. So if we do look at the FanDuel stacks, same sort of deal over there. I really like the Arizona Diamondbacks as my favorite team to be pairing with Arizona. I mean, Arizona's not even all like that crazy expensive on FanDuel, especially if you're going not too. I mean, like Zach Wheeler's 10,900 on FanDuel pricing. It's just a myth over there. I'll still say the Angels is my favorite team to pair with Arizona, though.
Yeah, they're even cheaper to get to. I mean, Cavadas and some of these other characters, like they're even cheaper to get to on that side of things. So for me, again, I also like the fact that's the one lineup I think we're waiting. Them and the Yankees. The lineup's not out yet. That always makes me happy, knowing that we could maybe get a piece or two. I mean, this projected lineup is just so disgusting. Look at the back half of it. Eric Wegeman, Gustavo Campero, Charles LeBlanc. I mean, these are not real people. These are not real people. But Nico Cavadas, we're going to be going back to the well on him. He's 2.4K. However, we do have a Rowdy Soldier Boy Tellez at 3K. I'm going to prioritize him on DK, but on FanDuel, Cavadas, again, just looking like a pretty darn good play.
And then, hey, Drew wants to know, do I like the Cubs as a contrarian stack on DK? Only one of my top 150 lineups is a Cubs stack, so not really. Actually, no, not a team that I would like to go do to be a contrarian. And then Westbrook Forever says, did I hit on my single entry stack? Yeah, it's Arizona, and then just go more contrarian at pitcher today. I find it really hard to get away from the D-backs.
What Craig said.
Are we caught up on questions? Yes, we are. Any final thoughts, Eric? If not, we'll do our dong picks.
Just, me just putting in the work here from Scotland. Hit the like button because, I mean, what else? What do you want from me? What else do you want from me?
Eric is the only one who could turn himself into a victim because he's on a trip to an exotic location. Everybody feel bad for Eric. He's at a cool place and they make him wear vests. Dong pick though, Eric. Who you picking to go yard today?
I tried to pretend like I was frozen. I was trying. I was trying so hard. What a great pull by you. I've talked about him a million times. Plus 675. Soldier Boy Tellez. We're going to be going to him. We're going to go to Pittsburgh against Lance Lynn. Righties, lefties. He shows no discrimination. He absolutely loves to give up power to all of them here, but specifically over the course of his career. Lefties, no doubt. 342 WOBA. You bring up. I mean, I'm less worried about the WOBA for Rowdy Tellez. I'm just looking for a bomb and give me a 17.7 degree launch angle off the bat here for him. Soldier Boy Tellez, 16.4 degree average launch angle for him. I think this is a great spot to be investing in Pittsburgh.
I have to scroll so far down my exposures because my top 7 rostered players are all from the Diamondbacks, and then it's some pitchers behind that. So I have to go I have to go to like my 13th most rostered player to start looking for my home run pick that I want to go with today. I'll go with one of the Angels players because that is the lower owned team I have the most of, and Coors Field. We've established on this channel that's cheating if you do that for your dong pick. So for me, I'll go Taylor Ward. Taylor Ward, that is the dong pick for myself today. So now we'll read some of the picks from chat, and then Slurp King Jordan, get your answer queued up because we're going to be going to you next here. Let's see what we have. We've got Nolan Arenado for 2 homers for Taco 933. We've got not a home run pick, but Mitch Farrell 98 in chat says you don't choose the best life. The best life chooses you. That is true. Eric came out of his mom's womb wearing a vest, so there was no doubt about that. First article of clothing he wore, it was a vest. Luke Raley, that is a pick from Max Video 35. We've got Brent Rooker from Eric Johnson, Parker Meadows from Malukar. We've got a Herrera from GSTUWG, Cavadas as well from Francisco Rubio. It feels like somebody picks Cavadas every single day now. Josh Smith from Reg Kell, Brent Rooker from Alex Serra, Bobby Witt Jr. from Sotex, Nolan Arenado from CPA Joe K, Taylor Ward. Chris Williams also going with Taylor Ward. He's going to be backing me there. Witt, I assume, I don't know if you mean Bobby Witt or Whit Merrifield there from William Westry. Albert Simons is going with Berger. We've got, who's Benny Biceps? Eric is claiming that he is Benny Biceps. Is that Ben Intendi? I'm going to assume even Benintendi by Benny Biceps. So Luca
that's
Lover
your boy.
going with Benny Biceps. We got Jock Peterson from Brandon, Bobby Witt from William Westry, Tyrone Taylor from Barnaby O'Toole, Bellinger, and Bobby Witt from Taste the Skillers. Your mom from J Lovelady. We've got Paul C going with Tommy Pham. Christian Walker is the pick from Charlie. We've got Fernando Tatis from Ken Ratty. And then Envious also going Brent Rooker there. Charles Moran going with Lawrence Butler. Jordan Klein, the Slurp King, closes out here. Who is going yard tonight?
Corbin Carroll. Dong.
Oh, I already bet him. Why did you do that? You never get anything right. You suck.
That's not true. We had Seiya Suzuki the other day where we bent him to take Seiya Suzuki, and then he did.
We did, but that was also our analysis. Actually, we just kind of egged him on, but it is what it is.
That's going to do it for us. If you guys want to sign up for any of the packages on the site, links down below in the YouTube description box. It also comes with access to our Discord channel. If you haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Have a great night. Good luck. See you guys back here tomorrow.